Hello and welcome into this wonderful Friday afternoon. If you're new here, Friday means that we go over all of the headlines that came out of the NFC North this week. It is time once again for weekly North news. All right, hello once again. Welcome in once again. We're going to do things the traditional format here this week. We're going to pick one headline for each team, go over it. I'll give you my thoughts. We'll have a discussion about it in the comments section. And if you're new here, this is sort of how we do things on Friday. This is the typical Friday video where we sort of just collect our thoughts about the NFC North Division for the week. I share a couple of headlines that interested me for each team, and yeah, it's a good old time. So if you're new here, stick around. We do this, and it's a good time. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to do the old format here where we pick one headline for each team. We're going to give the top spot to the Green Bay Packers because I think until the Aaron Rodgers situation is settled, we're just going to be talking about that nonstop. So first headline for the week comes from the Green Bay Packers, and they have signed former Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Blake Bortles. This brings another arm into the building and increases the speculation about the future of Aaron Rodgers, who, for all intents and purposes, we still don't know what he's going to be doing in 2021. We don't know if he's going to be the starter for the Green Bay Packers. We don't know if he's going to be hosting Jeopardy. We don't know if he's going to be retired. There's this like 5-10% chance that he could be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos in a couple of weeks. But for right now, we don't know. Blake Bortles is now in the building. He joins the company of Jordan Love, who figures to be the week one starter if Aaron Rodgers is no longer with the team. But it does present the opportunity for a quarterback battle to take place. We haven't seen Jordan Love since his final season at Utah State, which was 2 years ago. I don't believe he participated in any games last year, even as the necessary kneel down to end a game. If somebody knows more about that, they can correct me if he actually appeared in any regular season games last year, but I don't think he did. So we don't know what the actual development has been like for Jordan Love. We didn't get no preseason games last year. So this preseason, this training camp is going to tell us a lot. And maybe they felt like they needed to bring somebody in to push him, or at the very least, a veteran backup who would be able to start in an emergency if Jordan Love is not ready to carry the load for the Green Bay Packers. But this just fuels the fire, fuels the speculation, gives everybody on the internet another talking point to look at the Green Bay Packers to be like, well, if Aaron Rodgers was coming back, would they really be bringing in Blake Bortles? In my opinion, I don't think they would be. So I know a lot of people have sort of, reached the point of no return with Aaron Rodgers in a sense that they don't believe that he's going to be back this year with Green Bay. It's starting to look like that more and more as the days go by. So that is the news coming out of Green Bay. We're going to switch gears over to Chicago. They get the second headline of the week, and that's because Kyle Sloter is among the 5 tryout candidates for the Chicago Bears at rookie camp this week. And if you don't remember Kyle Sloter, he was a preseason fan favorite, I guess you could call it that, for the Minnesota Vikings a couple of years ago. We even did a video last year discussing the potential of bringing him back because last season, after the entire debacle that happened with the Atlanta Falcons, and the whole Kirk Cousins first half fiasco where he completely melted down and threw 3 interceptions, we started looking, maybe a little bit prematurely for another answer at the quarterback position. And I happen to bring up Kyle Sloter, who I believe was either a free agent at the time or was on the Arizona Cardinals practice squad. He has spent time with the Chicago Bears practice squad last year, so he's sort of been bouncing around all over the place. But we were desperate back then, right? Because all we had was Sean Mannion, Jake Browning. We didn't have Kellen Mond at the time, so we were just like, well, let's throw a dart anywhere and see what happens. But so Kyle Sloter is going to be among the players trying out for the Bears this year. It's unlikely that he's going to actually get a roster spot, as the Bears currently carry 3 very significant quarterbacks, being Andy Dalton, who they signed this offseason, Justin Fields, who they used the number 11 overall pick on this previous draft, trading up for him. And then they have Nick Foles and his ginormous contract that I'm pretty sure that they can't really get out from under unless they pull some kind of weird magic trick on another team. So Kyle Sloter likely looking for a practice squad job this offseason. Moving on, we go to Detroit next for the Detroit Lions. Their headline of the week is that the Lions are exploring a trade for offensive tackle Tyrel Crosby And this looks like the Penei Sewell effect in real time. So he was originally, this was originally reported by ESPN. Crosby started 12 games last year for them. He was a former 5th-round pick, I believe, in 2018. But the problem is now with Taylor Decker's, I guess, solidified at left tackle, Penei Sewell looks to be the right tackle of the future. I don't know too much about the Detroit Lions offensive line and, you know, how those pieces work. So somebody can absolutely step in and correct me if that is the wrong read on the situation. I am under the assumption that Taylor Decker is going to stay at left tackle. Penei Sewell will go to right tackle. That leaves Crosby as the odd man out. On one depth chart on the internet that I usually navigate to find players, they have Crosby listed as a backup right guard, which I don't know anything about that. But it does look like they are interested in trading Tyrel Crosby for a team that might be looking for some help at the tackle position. So that is something we'll have to follow up with coming out of Detroit. Last but not least, we go to Minnesota for the Minnesota Vikings headline, and this is going to be where we talk about the Justin Jefferson interview with Colin Cowherd and his brutal honesty about his quarterback, Kirk Cousins, when compared to Joe Burrow. So I think we've all seen it by now. I think we've all seen the reactions on the internet about it. There's a lot of knee-jerk reactions that I don't feel are really well thought out, if you will. Like I saw some, not major news outlets, but some like Vikings fan news outlets demanding Justin Jefferson issue an apology to Kirk Cousins in a way that, you know, it is what it is. Kirk Cousins stands are never going to entertain criticism no matter who it's from, and especially not from his own teammates, because they believe he is the guy and there's nothing that can change their minds. But I listened and I watched the interview that he did with Colin Cowherd, and I honestly believe he wasn't wrong, and I honestly like this. Is it a good idea to criticize teammates in the media? Typically, no. Typically, no. You would be 100% against that. But why not, right? It's refreshing. The honesty is refreshing. So the two key takeaways from the interview were that Justin Jefferson described Joe Burrow as having more swagger and more confidence than Kirk Cousins, and said that he wasn't surprised about Minnesota being rumored to trade up to get Justin Fields or drafting him if he fell to 14 overall. And Jefferson said he wasn't surprised about that because, quote, we have to build on for after Kirk or whatever the case may be. So there seems to be this internal mindset with the Vikings organization that Kirk Cousins is not the long-term answer at the position. And there's a bunch of nuance that we could go over. We could do a whole separate video. We could do a whole separate video on that entire situation. But the main focus here is Justin Jefferson openly criticizing Kirk Cousins compared to another quarterback that he played with in college, i.e. Joe Burrow. And I'm fine with this. I'm 100% fine with this because if it upsets Kirk Cousins, good. That's what I want. I want him to be more motivated to prove people wrong. There needs to be more accountability in a sense that people tell him what he needs to hear and not what he wants to hear, because I think we're doing a little bit too much of column B. I don't want to say like it's like a hand-holding metaphor, but I don't know. There just seems to be this idea or this logic that Kirk Cousins needs to be told all the right things in order for him to function correctly. I think that that's a mistake. I think we need to light a fire under his ass if we're really going to get the most out of him. Like, people seem to still be convinced that there is untapped potential. Like, he could even ascend higher than he currently has in his 9-year pro career. I don't believe that's possible, but if there's going to be a way to get it out of him, it's going to be situations like this where teammates are brutally honest about him. And I'm hoping that this situation and other situations in the past, a more recent example would be the Kyle Rudolph goodbye letter that he penned after he was released by Minnesota. No mention of Kirk Cousins in there at all, even though he's thanking other quarterbacks that he played with. So I'm hoping that something like that in this Justin Jefferson interview really gets him motivated to not get off to another slow start this year in 2021, really crank up the Jets and become that dark horse MVP that a lot of us have been talking about. We did a video on that, I believe, a week ago. So that is where I stand on the Justin Jefferson, Colin Cowherd interview. Let me know what your thoughts are about that in the comments below. And as always, let me know what you think about any of the headlines that we talked about. Blake Bortles signing with Green Bay, Kyle Sloter getting a tryout with the Chicago Bears, Crosby being on the trading block with the Detroit Lions. Anything that we discussed, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.